You ever feel that strange kind of tired, where it's not your body that's heavy, but your mind? Like even when you're doing nothing, you're still tired, not from effort, but from trying to make sense of everything all the time, trying to make sense of people, trying to make sense of your emotions, trying to make sense of your past, your future, your place in it all. You wake up with questions, you go to sleep with loops, and somewhere in between, you're just hoping that maybe one answer will finally click and make it all feel okay. But here's the truth, nobody says out loud. Understanding isn't peace. In fact, the constant need to understand is often the very thing pulling you further away from it. And it's not your fault. You were raised in a world that taught you that clarity equals control. That if you could just figure out why, you'd finally be able to rest. But clarity doesn't always come from thinking harder. Sometimes it comes from thinking less. Because not everything is meant to be solved with the mind. And the more you force it, the further you get from what's real. See, there's this silent belief that runs in the background of so many people's lives. If I can just understand it, I'll finally be okay. Understand the pain. Understand the past. Understand why they left. Why it happened. Why you are the way you are. And so, without even realizing it, you become addicted to figuring things out. You chase books, podcasts, self-help videos, spiritual teachings, all looking for that one explanation that'll finally unlock the calm you've been waiting for. But here's what no one tells you. The mind is a master of turning peace into a problem. It takes your silence, your stillness, your in-the-moment peace, and starts trying to interpret it. It asks, wait, why do I feel calm right now? What caused this? How do I keep it? And just like that, you're no longer experiencing peace. You're analyzing it, choking it, wrestling it to the floor for answers. Some of the most profound moments in life aren't meant to be held with logic. They're meant to be lived through, felt, let in, let go. The truth is, you don't always need more understanding. Sometimes what you actually need is permission. Permission to stop, to breathe, to not need to know right now, to let life move without dissecting every second of it, to say, I don't know, and still feel safe. Because wholeness isn't something you unlock with a perfect thought. It's something you return to when you stop trying to unlock everything. You ever notice how children can sit in silence without needing to fill it? They just stare at things, clouds, a bug, their own fingers. No agenda, no analysis, just presence. But somewhere along the way, you were taught that stillness was laziness, that not having answers meant you were behind. So now, even your silence feels like a problem you need to fix. You sit alone for 5 minutes and your brain starts racing. What am I doing with my life? Why do I still feel this way? Shouldn't I be further by now? But that voice in your head, the one narrating every detail like it's your job to figure it all out, that's not your truth. That's your survival system. That's the part of you that was wired to over-understand everything just to feel safe. And it's exhausting, because every time you try to relax, that voice pulls you back into the loop. Like peace is a puzzle you're somehow missing a piece to. But what if peace isn't something you solve? What if it's something that just shows up? When you stop trying to fix a version of yourself that was never broken, you're not tired because you've done too little. You're tired because you've been carrying the weight of needing to understand everything all at once, as if that's what makes you worthy of rest. But your worth doesn't live in answers. It lives in your ability to be here, to breathe, to let the moment be what it is, without needing it to explain itself to you. There's this quiet pressure no one talks about, that unless you've figured yourself out, you don't deserve peace. That unless you've healed every wound, unpacked every memory, and understood every emotion, you're not ready to relax. You're not allowed to feel good yet. So you delay your own peace. You tell yourself, once I understand why I act like this, I'll let myself rest. Once I figure out what the universe is trying to teach me, I'll finally calm down. But this chasing game never ends, because the mind is designed to survive, not to surrender. It always wants one more piece of the puzzle, one more insight, one more explanation. And it tells you that when you get it, then you'll feel free. But freedom doesn't come from collecting answers. It comes from releasing the belief that you need them to be whole. Have you ever had a moment where, for no reason at all, you just felt okay? Like everything around you was still messy, unclear, unresolved, but something inside was still? That's the space your thoughts can't access. That's the place your overthinking can't control. And maybe that's what real understanding is. Not a sentence in your head, but a sensation in your body, where nothing needs to be different and you don't need to explain why. What if the goal was never to understand everything, but to live in a way that lets mystery exist without making you feel unsafe? And here's the wild part. Even when you finally do get an answer, it doesn't last. You might feel a hit of relief, a moment where everything seems to line up, but it fades fast. Because the moment the mind finishes solving one thing, it moves on to the next mystery. That's its nature. You decode one part of yourself, and suddenly, there's a new wound to unpack, a new thought to track, a new shadow to chase. It's endless, but that's not your fault. You've been trained to believe your value lies in how well you understand yourself. That healing is this structured ladder you climb, and the more you figure out, the higher you rise. But real peace doesn't come from a breakthrough. It comes from not needing one. It comes from learning how to sit with yourself in the exact moment you're in, without turning it into a project. No analyzing, no trying to outthink your pain, no rewriting your whole story in your head just to feel like you've earned rest. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is stop trying to make it make sense and start trusting the version of you that feels, not just the one that thinks, because the one that thinks is tired, and the one that feels, she's just been waiting for you to come home. Think about how much energy you've spent just trying to feel okay. Not even good, just not confused, not overwhelmed, not lost in your own head again. And maybe no one ever taught you this, but constantly living in why mode. That internal scanning for reasons, patterns, and explanations, it burns you out because it keeps you in your head even when your body's begging for you to drop back down, to breathe, to notice the air, to feel the weight of your own feet on the floor, to be here, not solving life, but actually living it. See, there's a version of you that already exists underneath all this noise. The you who doesn't need to understand every feeling to trust it. The you who can feel sadness without needing to call it broken. The you who can feel joy without needing to earn it first. The you who doesn't live in explanations, but in experience. But that version of you, she's quiet. She's subtle, and she gets drowned out when you're chasing clarity like it's oxygen. Sometimes the most important growth doesn't happen when you figure things out. It happens when you stop chasing answers long enough to remember yourself again. That's what this is really about. Not solving your mind, but returning to the part of you that was never confused to begin with. The part that always knew how to rest, how to be still, how to just be without needing a reason. You were never meant to live your whole life from the neck up, but that's what so many of us end up doing. We become floating minds, detached from our own breath, from our own body, trying to think our way back into feeling alive again. You scroll through advice. You listen to voices that sound certain. You repeat mantras you don't feel yet, hoping they'll unlock something. And still, you feel tired because you're not just overthinking situations. You're overthinking your entire existence. You're trying to mentally process emotions that were meant to be felt. You're trying to explain away wounds that were only ever meant to be held. You're trying to get ahead of life, like it's some complicated concept you'll eventually decode. But life is not a concept. It's not an algorithm. It's not a riddle you need to solve. It's a heartbeat, a breeze through your window, a moment that passes whether you're ready or not. And the more you try to grasp it, define it, figure it out, the more it slips away. You're not broken. You're not behind. You're just exhausted from carrying the weight of always needing to know. And maybe, just maybe, the most spiritual thing you could do right now is allow the mystery to exist, not as a threat, but as a kind of beauty, the kind that doesn't need your mind to translate it, the kind that only asks you to notice it, to breathe it in, to stay, because life isn't asking you to understand it, it's asking you to experience it. There's a strange kind of peace that comes when you stop trying to figure it all out. Not because you gave up, but because you finally realized it's not your job. You were never put here to carry the full explanation for every moment of your life. You were never supposed to carry other people's reasons, their silence, their chaos, like it was your responsibility to decode it. But the mind takes on roles it was never built for. It becomes a historian, replaying every old scene, looking for what you missed. It becomes a psychic, trying to predict what might go wrong if you don't stay ahead of everything. It becomes a critic, whispering that maybe the reason you feel tired is because you're not doing enough, healing fast enough, evolving fast enough. But here's the truth. The reason you feel tired isn't because you're weak or unspiritual or falling behind. You feel tired because you've been fighting the current of your own life, believing you were supposed to control it all from the inside of your skull. But your soul doesn't work like that. It's not linear. It's not rational. It doesn't speak in bullet points. It speaks in silence, in stillness, in the quiet feeling of, I don't need to know right now. I'm still safe. And that kind of safety doesn't come from explanations. It comes from trust, from letting go of needing to get it right, from realizing that some things aren't broken, they're just unfolding. And your job is not to decode the mystery. It's to walk through it with your eyes open, your breath steady, and your heart soft enough to feel what's real when it arrives. So maybe this whole time, the real exhaustion hasn't come from your life being too chaotic, but from your need to constantly interpret it, to give every emotion a label, to make every discomfort mean something, to read into every silence like it's a message you're supposed to decode. But what if you didn't need to assign meaning to every moment? What if it was okay to feel confused and not chase clarity right away? What if stillness didn't have to be explained to be trusted? You've spent so long believing that understanding is how you earn peace. But sometimes, peace isn't earned. It's allowed. It's the moment you stop tightening your grip on life. It's the breath you didn't even know you were holding. It's the space that opens when you stop editing yourself just to feel on track. And the truth is, you don't need to arrive anywhere. You don't need to solve the riddle of who you are to feel worthy of rest. You can stop here, right now. Not forever, but just long enough to feel what's already been waiting for you underneath all that thinking. Your presence, your aliveness, your right to exist without explanation. So if anything landed with you today, if a single part of this made your body feel a little softer, your breath a little deeper, just comment below with the word, enough. Not because you've given up, but because you're finally starting to see. You were never supposed to hold it all in your mind to begin with. And if you're ready for more videos like this, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the bell. This journey is just beginning. And I'll be right here every step of the way.